Today I'm going to be breaking down how you can use Dragon Riders in combination with a Royal Champion charge here at Townhall 13 to 3-star any base. So here is the army composition that we are going to be using today, and as you can see, 10 Dragon Riders. Yeah, we're going all out on those Dragon Riders, not even any balloons to try and protect them a little bit, we're just going straight overkill. Also, of course, going to be coming in with that Royal Champion. Her job, clear out as many defenses as possible because she is going to be using up every single one of our spells, but definitely you're going to need those electro boots. The rocket spear are going to be coming alongside, and for the rest of our heroes it's pretty basic equipment. So let's jump in and we'll break this one down. So the first thing we're going to be doing here with our Royal Champion is trying to identify portions of the base that we think we're going to get maximum value on. Now remember, your Royal Champion is a defensive targeting unit, so she is always going to go to the closest defense. So we're going to continue to use those invisibility spells to protect her up for as long as possible. We're aiming to take down key buildings here that can do significant damage onto your Dragon Riders. This, of course, air defenses, single target Inferno Towers. We don't care too much about the multi-target Inferno Towers, though if you get them down, that's an added bonus. Scatter shots, of course, a big one. The Town Hall itself, though sometimes you're going to struggle to get that. And then if you can take down sweepers, that is also going to be a big benefit. So I know there's a lot of different defenses to keep in mind there, but remember, you have 12 of those invisibility spells coming on through. So let's jump in and we'll try and get this one done. If you're wondering why we have that earthquake spell, it's in case we need to activate that Town Hall, but in this particular one we're going to be coming in from this opposite side here, so we use that earthquake spell nice and early to weaken up that single target Inferno so it doesn't get up to full strength, and so a Royal Champion can get through it nice and quickly. So coming on through here, because we used that rocket spear, she was out of range of most of those defenses, so we didn't actually need to start using our invisibility spells until she got further into the base. Be very careful of enemy heroes. Clan castle troops can also be a real pain, but as you guys saw right there, we actually made the clan castle troops invisible, so our Royal Champion retargeted. We're then going to be luring them all the way to a corner of the base with an archer. This is so our Royal Champion can spend the maximum amount of time in the core of a base, because of course we don't just want to abandon her to deal with 3 ice golems, because she would just use all of the invisibility spells and get absolutely no value at all. If it's a defensive CC that has headhunters, super minions, even the furnace, you're just going to try and do exactly the same thing. Lure it off to one of those corners while keeping your Royal Champion invisible for as long as you possibly can. So you'll see in this particular one, our Royal Champion's kind of done a loop up towards this top section of the base. We've dealt with both of the Inferno Towers. We've already dealt with a scatter shot as well as an air sweeper. And now we're going to actually go and deal with this other air defense up here, which is absolutely spot on. Next portion of the attack, we're just going to be trying to get maximum value. When it comes to the siege machine, you can honestly choose pretty much anything with this particular strategy, but in this time, we're going to be coming in with the Stone Slammer. It's a really good option, honestly. You typically can get a lot of value from it, especially if you're keeping it away from those big defenses that we spoke about earlier. Now, when it comes to our Queen, we actually missed her ability going off, but of course, the Giant Arrow. One of the strongest pieces of equipment on any of the heroes, and it's very strong when using it against air defenses, because of course, it can take them down. So our Royal Champion was able to clear 2 of those air defenses, and our Queen with her ability was able to snipe off the other ones. The Dragon Riders, there's no real strategy when it comes to deploying them. You're going to spam them all down in one group. Remember, they're exactly the same as that Royal Champion. They're going to come down all together. You're combining them all at the same time, and they're going to go for those defenses. This one, absolute overkill. I'm not sure we've lost a single Dragon Rider. Yeah, this is exceptionally strong. Hopefully we'll be able to showcase it in a little bit more detail in the next attack. So a little bit of an unorthodox base. We have the 3 Inferno Towers down towards this bottom section. Now again, we actually could have had the option here to snipe off the Town Hall. We could have activated it with the earthquake spell, but in this particular one, we're looking at where we can get the value from. Now yes, we could snipe out the Town Hall, but we don't really care too much about many of these other defenses. The air defense is nice, but everything else in there we're not too fussed about. Whereas over here, we're suddenly looking at the Inferno Towers as well as the air defences. We can push through into the core where we can deal with the sweepers, the enemy heroes, lure out the clan castle troops. There is just a lot more value down here on that bottom section, hence why we are going to be coming in from that part of the base. Now remember, dropping that rocket spear early on in the attack means we don't need to use those invisibility spells, so don't get trigger happy, hold on to them until your royal champion starts to take damage. Like you guys can see here, we're now going to focus in on that RC, making sure every 4 seconds we keep her under the invisibility spells. If you need to time it, then feel free to do so. After a while of using this strategy though, you will start to feel the rhythm and you'll start to feel when you have to use those spells. You'll see even just for a split second there, the RC actually became visible. And in that split second, she went from full HP down to less than half HP. So be very, very careful when your royal champion is in the core of a base like this, because she can very quickly end up dying again. A great example of what I was speaking about there. Try to keep her invisible at all times. As soon as you realize that invisibility spell is going to wear off, get that next one in there. But you can see we've completely gutted the entire core section of the base. Again, we have lured out those clan castle troops. I'm not sure where they went. Oh, they're down here. Dealing with them very slowly, not a problem for us at all. We might just be able to get the Eagle Artillery here. We do, absolutely beautiful. The Queen then coming in, shooting her ability all the way across this base, taking out some of those remaining key defences, the sweepers, any air defences that we may potentially grab, and now we can start to think about the rest of the strategy. Now honestly, there is hardly any base really left up here, but we do need to be careful when it comes to time. So we opt to drop down the Stone Slammer. That's going to be coming in for that Town Hall. The rest of our troops, of course, those all important Dragon Riders, going to be swinging on through from that top section of the base. With our Grand Warden, we of course have 2 very important pieces of equipment. Those are going to be the Double Tome, the Healing, and the Eternal Tome. You're going to want to pop that at a point of the base where your Dragon Riders have taken about half HP damage, because you actually want your heal spell to have some sort of effect. If you don't deploy that spell, of course they're going to be able to take damage, and if you deploy it too early, the Healing Tome is not going to be able to get any value at all. But you'll see, we also of course have the Minion Prince ability. We didn't even need it in either of these attacks, so we're just going to swag it right there. But again, complete and utter overkill. If you can get that value from your royal champion, you then just have to pop your Queen's ability. Stone Slammer can do a nice little bit of work, and the Dragon Riders honestly don't have to do that much themselves. So we have one more example where we can just sit back, relax, enjoy the attack. So here we are with a bit more of a symmetrical base, but we're not going to be approaching it any differently. A bit more of a centralized town hall, so we don't even need to consider potentially royal champion charging in for that. The earthquake spell is going to come down on the double scatter shot. We unfortunately didn't quite catch the single target Inferno, but that's not going to be a problem for us. We're just going to get our royal champion coming in nice and early. Be careful again with those clan castle troops. Of course, at this point we knew we were going to be encountering ice golems, but if you do have a much heavier defensive clan castle coming out, you need to be very, very careful and be very hot on those invisibility spells. You don't want to lose your royal champion. Deploying down those invisibility spells one after the other. Remember, with your deployment, you want to try to deploy them down in sections of the base that is pushing your royal champion towards the defenses you want. So in this particular case, we're happy to take down the single target Inferno here at the top section of this base, letting her swing through, dealing with the air defense as well. Only a couple more invisibility spells left up in this one. Unfortunately, she does start to swing towards the outside of the base, which is really not ideal, but we do end up sniping off that Queen there as well, which is absolutely beautiful. Just catching the air sweeper on that very last shot, but we can now think about the next stage of our attack. Air it comes. That is going to be the Archer Queen's ability. Unfortunately, we miss out on this air defense right here. But if we pause things up at this point, honestly, we've got significantly less value than we did in the previous 2 attacks. By this point, honestly, nearly the majority of the defenses has been cleared. But in this particular one, the Dragon Riders themselves are going to have to do a bit more of a hard carry. We also realise that the Queen is going to have quite a bit more to deal with over on this left hand side of the base, with the Minion Prince in there, as well as coming in towards X-bows, Archer Towers, etc. So we go ahead and we actually decide to deploy down the Siege Barracks rather than the Stone Slammer. So that's just something to consider. The Siege Barracks itself typically is going to allow you to clean up parts of the base much quicker as well, because you're going to have those additional troops coming out, of course those P.E.K.K.A.s and the Wizards, so cleanup will be a little bit faster than if you just brought that Stone Slammer in, which of course would just target those defences. World Champion, yeah, she did a decent bit of work, maybe not quite getting the value we were looking for, going slightly off path towards that top section of the base, but the Dragon Riders are going to be able to carry on through. Looks like they're probably going to be finishing up with that Town Hall. But again, it's another really pretty strong attack. I know I said this one was maybe a little less powerful than the previous ones, but we still end up with, you know, the majority of our heroes up, as well as most of the Dragon Riders. So yeah, this strategy honestly is insanely strong, and the most important thing is trying to master the Royal Champion charge. It may look a little bit intimidating at first, but trust me, just practice it. Even if you're attacking your own bases, getting used to the deployment of those invisibility spells is absolutely key. Once you have mastered this, honestly, Townhall 13 is an absolute breeze.